Dowry is a word hated by many, celebrated by some, and if anyone is found indulging in it, is punishable by law. The IPC section of 498A allows for immediate arrest of the husband and in-laws by the police on the basis of a woman's complaint and has been controversial. Several pro-male organizations have been protesting against this section saying that the law is being misused by women for selfish gains and should include a penalty provision against its misuse. But women activists have been lobbying for no change in the law. Is it time to take a second look and make some amendments? This is what we are asking today. Welcome to Gender Discourse. I'm Lottie Alaric. To carry this discussion forward, I have in the studio an eminent panel of guests. It is my privilege to welcome Mr. Wasif Ali, who is a co-founder of Save Family Foundation. Sitting to his right is Dr. Ranjana Kumari, who is the director of Center for Social Research. And to my left is Mr. Soumya Bhaumik, who is a noted advocate. So I take this opportunity of welcoming all of you to the show. Well, friends, before I start talking to my guests, let us all take a look at this report.
What was created to protect women from harassment on the domestic front has been exploited by the weaker sex, or so it seems. Recent judgments by trial courts and high courts have made some stern remarks on the increasing practice by women using Section 498A as a weapon to settle scores with members of their matrimonial homes.
Husband needs protection. आदमी को भी प्रोटेक्शन की जरूरत है। मैं ये चाहूँगा कि उनके लिए भी कोई कानून होना चाहिए। अगर मैं ठीक हूँ, अगर मेरे साथ नाजायज हो रहा है, अगर मेरी वाइफ मुझे केवल ये प्रजम्पशन आप मान के चलते रहें कि मैं वो कमजोर है और मैं बदमाश हूँ, मैं ताकतवर हूँ, यह गलत है। इमोशनली आई एम वीक। ये कानून 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 ये कितनी महंगी महंगी आम आदमी कहाँ से लड़ेगा? ये हैं? ये कहाँ से वकील करेगा? इतनी एक्सपेंसिव ये लड़ाई है, कोर्टों ने खुद कहा है। और पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट में इस पर रोक लगाई जाए, महिलाओं को प्रोटेक्शन मिलना चाहिए, लेकिन साथ में उसको वार्निंग दे दी जाए पहले ही दिन से कि देखो अगर तुम गलत हुई और अगर तुमने इसको मिसयूज करने की कोशिश की तो आप पर हैवी पेनल्टी होगी और आपको जेल भी जा सकती हैं। तो 90% सीधा नीचे आएगा। ये एकदम सिर्फ 10 महिलाएं कोर्ट में आएंगी, वो भी फिर अच्छा ठीक तरह से साबित करेंगी कि बदतमीजी है, मैं सुरक्षित नहीं हूँ, ठीक है, उस आदमी के खिलाफ कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। ये मेरी भी डिमांड है।
While for long the section helped destitute women to fight against harassment, in the past 1 year, courts have come across various incidents where women have misused it to harass the members of their matrimonial homes. The courts have not only voiced their opinion against the practice, but have also gone to the extent of calling it legal terrorism. The Union Law Ministry recently launched an exercise to tone down the provisions of Indian Penal Code dealing with matrimonial cruelty, including cases of dowry harassment. If the changes are implemented, dowry harassment may soon become a bailable offence. The changes are aimed at protecting family life and checking the alleged misuse of the law. Is the step touted by the government to check the alleged misuse of the law going to help, or is it a step backward for women? Legal experts believe that the overuse of the provision is being misrepresented as misuse. And if Section 498A is toned down, the larger female population is going to suffer because of a few bad cases. The provisions of Section 498A are not a law to take revenge, seek recovery of dowry or to force a divorce, but a penal provision to punish the wrongdoers. Bureau Report, Lok Sabha Television.
Are the details and those were the reactions of some of the people there. So let me begin with you, Wasif here. Now, somebody over there says that 498A is also being used as a weapon. Lately, if we see, it is being used as a weapon. So do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with the statement in the sense that in any marriage dispute, whatever the reason, it becomes a dowry dispute. The woman goes to a police station, files a complaint, and it gets registered in 498A, and the entire process gets triggered off. Husband is arrested, his family members are arrested, offense being cognizable, non-bailable. There was a lot of running to the courts and harassment. And somebody made a statement that few bad cases. I don't agree with that. I would say 90% of the cases are false cases. And we have studied the Ministry of Home Affairs data. Of the total people arrested, men, women, 90% get acquitted. Of those arrested, I'm not talking about cases. So all the arrest cases, 90% actually false arrest. So this provision is actually, it has never helped people. This law has actually failed and it has been used to extract money in certain schools. So that's why we came up, we formed an organization, have fought against it. Luckily a panel has been formed, parliamentary committee has been formed to look into it. Various Supreme Courts, ex-Chief Justice of India, President of India have voiced this concern, justice is grossly misused. And we have also deposed in front of the parliamentary committee and we're waiting for the results. What are the views on it?
That's right. And very recently, Krishna Tirath, the Minister for Women and Child Development, has also said that sadly these cases are on the rise.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Well, so let me see what the social activist would have to say here when he says that 90% of the cases are false. So Ranjana ji, what is your take on that?
Well, I think for campaign you can use any statistics to prove your point, but there is not any careful research which can really prove this point that 90% of the cases are registered in the court, admissible in the court are wrong. If that is the situation, then I would believe that our legal machinery and our law enforcement system is completely broken down. We have no system by which we can decipher between wrong and right. So first of all, this is absolutely wrong way of proposing that 90% cases are wrong. That means everybody is telling lie. And if everybody is telling lie and courts are believing those lies, police have investigated the lie and trying to prove the lie, take the cases to the court and courts are believing in those lies. And I think that's absolutely, totally wrong figure, number one. Number two, you see, Lottie, on the one side, let me bring little broader perspective to the debate and let the lawyers, talk about the legal aspect. The broader perspective today is that whole country today is fighting for eradicating corruption. The root of corruption in this country, if you want to identify one single root of corruption, is dowry. Why? Because in order to give dowry to the daughters, men, women, everybody who's working, whichever way, start collecting and amassing money, because through any right or wrong means, because ultimately they have to marry off their daughters and they will be, they will have to pay huge dowry, which is beyond their capacity of incomes. So that's one thing which we have to keep in mind. During JP movement, which was also anti-corruption movement, this was established the dowry Gangotri, if there is some kind of a Gangotri of, the corruption is there, if the Ganga is flowing from where, is dowry in our society. So that's very important to keep in mind. Today's debate, the dowry becomes very crucial. Second thing is about, saying that people who are complaining, what is happening to those women? If law of course provides for, somebody in your comments said that people who are complaining should be punished by the law. Of course, if you complain and tell lies, you will be punished. Because there is a provision that if you tell lies and if misuse the law, you will be punished. So there is no need to worry about that. If somebody is telling lie, will be punished. But at the same time, the people who go and complain, today we are talking about so much about whistleblowers and their protection. And when the woman who is suffering at home, who gets beaten up, who gets deserted, who is, thrown out, if she goes and complains, then she must be the first one to be attacked and said that you are telling wrong, you are telling lie. How many women have the courage in this country? In our own study, and I keep quoting that study, that in our own study we have found in 498A use or misuse, that majority of the girls are not able to use this law because they are far and beyond in the villages, they don't know, they can't reach out. It is only urban middle class story where some women have found the courage to complain and gone. And certainly if anybody is misusing the law, anybody, law has the provision to punish such people. You cannot misuse the law. This is our assumption.
Law also has a provision. We have got an extortion law, we have got a torture law. Then why do we need a separate law of 498? When there is already a law, then why do you need a separate provision of 498?
Because I think associating with dowry is totally wrong, because dowry law is totally different. This is IPC, it's Indian Penal Code 498A, which is for mental and physical cruelty against women. And this was when the dowry law was changed in 1984.
IPC 320, it's about grievous
so it is to be read in connection with dowry.
That's right. Let's get the advocate here. Now you heard both of them, and so both my panelists have different views on this. So as an advocate, how do you explain this?
Well, first of all, when the scholar was going on in terms of and the report, it says that a woman would be whenever a case is lodged, a person would be arrested. I think that's a wrong assumption of the law. The law does not say so. So let's place the law on the
In order first,
in order first. The word cruelty, which is attached to the section 498A, is basically borrowed from the Marriage Act, which contains about divorce. In that case, the provision of cruelty is gender neutral. So that was borrowed it from that aspect. And it was, and the law came into being for the reason behind that there was a huge increase of crimes against women, particularly in the domestic front where they were.
Right.
So that's why the legislatures felt it that this law needs to be brought into book, and that's how 498A was included. And also considering that the Dowry Prohibition Act, which was of 1961, was already in place, but it was not effective enough, and it is still not effective enough as of today also. So once this law was brought in, and then thereafter again it was found that this law is still not being able to capture or where women are getting all the kind of right justice, where the women are dying. And therefore the dowry death provision came into being.
Right.
The dowry death provision is of section 304B of the IPC.
Apart from 302.
320.
302 is a culpable homicide.
We need a separate provision.
That's murder.
So
306 is suicide, 304B is murder.
So
Let him finish first. Yeah.
therefore one has to understand that there is a very thin line of difference between section 498A and 304B IPC. 498A is that the state takes on its responsibility to protect that woman. And what we are saying, are we then saying here today that women have not died? Women have died. It's a fact. It's again a sad fact that even if the death has occurred, the accused have got free because there was lack of evidence. But the death of that woman in that family stands clear.
Right.
There is no
Therefore,
evidence that the acquittal is because of
so I'm just pointing out the law first. So therefore, one has to make that clear thin line difference that in 498A, the state is protecting the life of that woman who is facing violence. Now 498A is just not on cruelty. It deals with various aspects of the cruelty part. The first part is where there is a willful conduct by the husband or his relatives which forces a woman to commit suicide, or where there is a huge loss to her life, limb, and that part. So that is one part of section 498A. The second part is that there is a coercion on her or her relatives for meeting certain demands, which is generally in common language says, even anyone, even lawyers, police and everyone, Dahej. It's about
demand for dowry.
It's about demand, unlawful demand.
Unlawful demands.
It's quite, if one reads it, so what is lawful demand? No one knows.
So
that.
I'll come back to this, but right now we'll have to slip into a break, so people don't go anywhere, as today we are talking about section 498A, whether it is being misused by a certain section of society. We'll be back in just a moment.